Okay, so we have NZD Swiss franc. So NZD was strong and Swiss franc was weak, and this is on the daily. And so we have this trend here. Let me mark this. Okay, so we have this level here, and we have this. We're gonna read it from buyer and the store. So we have this trend up. This indicates a this indicates demand, and we never got a pullback on the daily. We're just now getting it as a two-leg pullback, in which you cannot see the detail here, but if you go down a time frame, we'll be able to see it. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so here we could see, let me mark my level. We can see the pullback coming in. So obviously you can see leg one, leg two, and even a leg three. So what happens is there is demand here, um, and buyers stop buying, so the discounts start to come in. And here we can see the fact that there is this seller, and but they're no longer offering these discounts, which means, and as you can see as well, even here, there's volume on this buyer. So they know there's a buyer here somewhere. We definitely have a seller from here. There's definitely volume. So what happens here is as the sales come in, volume kicks in, but it resolves down. So this even this even this volume just belongs to the sellers, but then you have this volume kicking in for the buyers as well. So what happens is, um, there's a buyer, or there's a seller sitting here, there's a buyer sitting here, and so what happens they when the store no longer wants to give a discount and buyers no longer want to buy, we go into what they call a processing phase. And so what happens here is, um, they're just negotiating back and forth, see who's gonna buy up, or who's gonna sell down, who's gonna continue giving discounts, or who's gonna buy. And what happens here is, you have this range, this processing phase. So this is basically your V formation, and then you're processing. Then this is where it resolves up here, and the moment that it takes out this last seller, it's the moment you can now start counting legs. So this is leg one. I'll show you what leg one is. So from here to here is leg one. All this is leg one. And so as a day trader, I can participate not in the processing phase for a 4 hour, but on the onside when it takes out the seller. And so it's basically a what I participate in is basically leg two. It's a leg two where I'm going to participate. So now I'm just looking to, so this edge is usually the onside trade when it is no longer processing and it resolves up, pulls back only to continue. And that's where we're basically trading a leg two. So although this had volume, you had volume here. They negotiated back and forth, and buyers just kept buying it up. Um, Took out the last seller and created a leg one. Now we're getting a leg two pullback. And in order for us to read this edge, we must go down to the precision time frame, because this is a basically a 4 hour refresh. It's a daily two leg pullback, but a 4 hour refresh in which we use the 15-minute in order to solve this onside trade. So now if it was a daily refresh, we would use the 1 hour and then the 5 minute, obviously, for this edge. But it is a 4 hour 15. And so here we have it. So what happens here is this is all of leg one, and now we're having this leg two pullback on the onside of the seller, on the on top of the seller basically. And so we can see the pullback here in the 15 minutes, and we start reading the story again. So we have the discount. Okay, so one's leg over, or leg one is over. We have this sort of like thinking about it, stopping out all these smaller, buyers along the way. So this would be a pullback, sort of like I would consider sort of like a stop hunt for the overall picture, but it's a pullback. So we have leg one, two, three, four, and I'm just gonna go ahead and clear this up so I can. Okay, so here, as we're going down, we have volume, volume, and on this last seller, it starts to decrease as it sells down. That's a good sign. And what's even better is the fact that it's whenever these buyers start to kick in, volume starts to increase. And so that's a good sign. So that's just telling us we have buyers coming in. So we're going to go ahead and mark this. We have we're going to mark our last seller. So this was the last seller who did make a low because it closed below, but it obviously came back in. So this is sort of like the V formation, and we're going to use the ABC pattern to be able to decipher this. So this was our last guy, our last seller. We definitely have high volume sitting up here in this area, so that's something to be aware of as we make our way up once we do decipher this part here. So what happens is this is sort of like a V formation kicking in with volume increase, and so all of this is a test, just test, and then this is where it starts to break out, pulls back, continues. But this here would be more of the stop hunt. So remember, we have V formation, range, 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 FOMO. Let me just clear this up. So V formation, and then we have sort of like this range here, and we pop we pop out with the FOMO stop hunt. That's all it could do, only to continue up. So I I entered at these prices because of the pattern that we had here. So this to me was an A pattern where the last guy didn't have volume, but the volume is around here, here. It doesn't matter where the volume's at here. So the last guy didn't have volume, and we can enter anywhere in this test to anticipate the move up. And that's what happened here. So last guy didn't have, it had decrease in volume, and as a V formation came in, we have an increase in volume, and we have this um this like digestion, not digestion, sorry, like a range. We have a range, and then we have the FOMO stop hunt, and then continues. So, but like I said, I didn't wait for the stop hunt because of the fact that I understood the pattern here with the volumes, deciphered all of this with the volumes, and entered prior to the stop hunt. And so I entered around there. I'm not gonna look at the exact numbers, but this was my original. And I'm going to go into a little bit more um, because I did adjust my stop losses while I increased my size. And the reason being is because um, where is so this is London's high, and as US opened, we took them out as a stop hunt, or sorry, as the FOMO. Then we pulled back in and we continued. So whenever this happened, I added another position around these areas and adjusted my stop loss right below this, guys. Um, that why? Because it's I now see it as we took out a session. We took out a session, so it's now opened up as a cheese trade. And as a cheese trade, we can see it here in the 3 minute to gauge our entry. And see here we have a sort of like a refresh, primary, secondary, and here we had like a like a stop hunt, a FOMO stop hunt. So that is a good area to add size in. I added size a little prior to around here, this area, just because I understood the overall story, and I wanted to get in a little bit earlier in case this leg two fails and doesn't continue. Um, Now I definitely got to work on my entries, uh, but I needed to be able to scale out as well. So I'm gonna work on that. 50% at the position TP, and then full scale out at the main TP. So precision TP, which is should be prioritized, and then full out scale out on the second TP.